All right, we're recording.
I'm sorry to say I'm the fill-in here for the podcast. John Jones was going to do the podcast, and he failed all of his tests. So
He let us down again.
Again. John Jones again.
He is one of the most talented fighters. I've worked with him. Most talented fighters I've ever worked with, I've ever seen. And we'll get into the whole John Jones thing. But, just keeps on having, if you want to call it bad luck,
Bad decisions is
bad decisions.
what it is.
But there is the chance that what he got popped for and he tested positive for was in the supplements that he was taking.
If that's the case and he didn't do it, then the people that caused this are in hot water.
Oh my God. Yeah. And because that happened to Yoel Romero. He got popped, and they went back and they tested the supplements, and it was an over-the-counter supplement and everything, and it was a tainted supplement. It had something in it. And then they also were discussing how there's football teams. I don't follow football, you know this, but there's football coaches saying if you're traveling abroad, don't eat any meat because there's a lot of places abroad that they're giving, the cows and whatnot testosterone to, bulk them up and get more meat on them.
And a wellness policy in the NFL is a joke anyways.
Is it?
Calvin Johnson, he was one of the best wide receivers for the Detroit Lions. He just retired. And he yesterday came out, and this is a big scandal, but everyone knew it. He said NFL teams, coaches, whatever, they just hand out painkillers like candy.
Yeah, I
If
bet.
you want to get your hands on OxyContin, you want to get your hands on Vicodin, you just say, my ankle hurts, and they hand you a bag of it. He said there's no wellness in the NFL. They get you all dumbed down on the painkillers and all jacked up on whatever the heck, and they send you out to murder other people.
Well, and here's the thing, too, with the UFC, like Nate Diaz said yesterday, and he said multiple times, everybody's on steroids.
That was the funniest thing, too, that press conference. Let's look at it, break the whole UFC thing down chronologically. Sure. Last night there were fights.
Good call. Yeah, let's do that first. Last night the lightweight title was up for grabs. Dos Anjos and Eddie Alvarez.
Great fight.
Amazing fight, and both of them went out to just bang.
Who did you think was going to win that fight?
I thought Dos Anjos was going to win, but Alvarez pulled it out in the first round. He clipped him. It was interesting. So Dos Anjos was covering like this, which we call the "oh crap" cover.
Yeah.
Which that's edited for the podcast.
And his eyes are down. He's just like, oh no.
Here, and what he got hit with was what we call in Muay Thai a makatoon, which goes around. It goes around that, and it clipped him.
A makatoon sounds like a delicious dessert too.
Makatoon, yeah, you're right.
A makatoon, like a macaroon.
Macaroon.
So he got hit with a
makatoon.
makatoon. What?
He got makatoon. Yep. Matgutun, I think. Makatoon. But that goes, instead of doing like a jab and a cross, like straight to the face, it goes around. So it's almost like a long hook.
So if your hands are up, you're still going to get clipped.
Still going to get hit. And the way you practice it, like, I guess you can see it with the mic. So if this is a pole, you put the pads behind and you hit around the pole. So that's the idea. So they can be covering all they want, especially with the small gloves, and you're still going to get clipped. So he got clipped. Eddie Alvarez smelled blood, went in for the finish, and finished him in the first round. New lightweight champion for the UFC.
That's big stuff.
It really is.
And I think that's what the UFC wanted. Not that they necessarily wanted Dos Anjos to lose. They just wanted good fights. They've been getting bad press. This week has not gone well for Dana White or the UFC.
It hasn't. Which, by the way, I think he is the hardest working person in the fight business.
Do you think he gets a bad rap? Because I think people root against him, Dana White.
Well, yeah. Interestingly enough, yesterday, whenever they asked Conor McGregor what he thought of the whole John Jones thing, he said, listen, successful people don't, relish in the misfortune of others.
He said that, but he said it in a way where he was still kind of relishing in the misfortune of others.
Kind of.
Because he was like, I could sit here and say, well.
He did say that,
and
but he had a good point with it. He did.
He did.
But anyways, what were we relating that to?
We were talking about. Well, I just mentioned Dana White hasn't had
Dana.
a good, hasn't had a good
So I
week.
think a lot of people hate him because of, number one, how successful he is. He speaks his mind. He says whatever the heck he wants.
Right.
Some things get him into trouble, but for the most part, I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says. He's just a fact-based person, and if there's a fact, he's going to say it. So I think he gets a bad rap from people who don't like him because he either speaks his mind or he's uber successful.
Huge. He's the most successful fight promoter.
Yes, simple as that.
Hands down.
Ever.
More than Don King, more than any of them.
Yeah.
And unlike Don King, he's not ruining the sport.
No, he's not.
He's not.
There's some people that think he is, but no.
So there are fights tonight, you said too? I missed that.
Man. So there's the Ultimate Fighter finale.
How many
tonight.
fights does he cram into a weekend?
It's crazy how they do this.
Is it almost too much?
It's close, but no. And we were just in Vegas, and normally we would stay for the International Fight Week and whatnot and go through. It's fun. We do all the press conferences, and we do the weigh-ins and all of that. And all of that's free. You don't have to pay to get a ticket or anything to go into those. So we've always done them, but no, when they do this International Fight Week, I think this may be the first time they've done 3 cards. I may be wrong on that, but they've done 2 cards in a weekend multiple times. And what they'll do is they'll have the Ultimate Fighter finale backed up against something, or before it in this case. So we have the Johanna versus Claudia, which is the Ultimate Fighter finale. So they were the 2 coaches. They're going to fight. And then we have who the heck is fighting from each team? Let's see. Oh, Khalil Roundtree. He just won his fight on the Ultimate Fighter this week, which that's all recorded ahead of time and whatnot.
Yeah, he's working for a fight now. I mean,
yeah, they've been in camp and whatnot. So that's tonight. Like, how crazy is that? And then tomorrow is the big shebang.
Plus, I got to watch 2 press conferences yesterday. I saw the John Jones crying press conference. I saw the Conor McGregor Diaz press conference. I saw Mark Hunt sparring live in front of a crowd.
I didn't see that. That was probably awesome.
They had that. It was. I shouldn't say sparring. He was working pads, but he was working out on the stage where they have the press conference.
That's awesome.
He was like in garbage bags, so he was clearly cutting and working out that way. I saw a thing from Brock Lesnar. It just seems like a free for all. Like, it just seems like there's so many events that if you were there, I don't know what you'd even go to see.
Well, most of it is being held at the same spot, which is cool. Now, they have had it to where it's like, this is at the fashion mall, and this over here is at this casino, and you kind of have to run between all of them. But I think for the most part, they've been centrally located near the MGM or in the new arena that they have.
Before we get into UFC 200, before we get into that, my question for you, before what happened with John Jones happened, was Cormier John Jones a UFC 200 main event? Was that like worthy of 200?
Yes. Oh, without question.
So you weren't upset that Diaz McGregor 2 wasn't happening?
No.
Okay, so Cormier John Jones. Now John Jones is out.
Yep.
That's a pooper.
Yep.
Is it still 200? Is it?
You know who's replacing him?
I do, but weren't you nervous? I feel like the Anderson Silva coming in.
Yeah.
That's the best 2-day fight they could have come up with. But Anderson Silva just losing to Michael Bisping, I feel like he's going to get crushed. I know it's Anderson.
Did you watch the fight with him and Michael Bisping?
Yes.
Anderson played with him the whole time.
Do you think he's going to get crushed? Do you think?
I don't know. I really haven't thought about it much. But here's what I was hoping would happen: that this would be a title fight. It's not. It's a 3-round fight. So they're gonna fight for 3 rounds. The title is not on the line. I was hoping it was gonna be a title fight. Number 1, Anderson wins that. Then number 2, he goes down for a rematch and fights Michael Bisping and becomes the first person to hold 2 belts in 2 divisions. That would be an insane way to go out.
That's like saying if I had a ham and cheese sandwich, I could have a ham and cheese sandwich if I had some bread.
I know.
I mean, like, it's a lot has to happen.
So unfortunately, that's not going to happen because it's not a 5-round fight. So
you're happy with that now?
Oh my God, I think it's an amazing fight.
So now, UFC 200 hasn't lost any luster for you?
No, it sucks. It sucks that John Jones and Daniel Cormier are fighting. Like I said, John Jones has had a lot of misfortune. He's made some bad decisions. But I kind of root for the guy just because I think he is one of the greatest of all time, and I want to see him fight. That's the main reason. It's kind of selfish on my part, but I want to see him fight. So having him out sucks. But bringing Anderson in, here's the neat thing. For Cormier, he's been training for a long, rangy fighter. That's technical, that's really creative. So if you think about it, Anderson is kind of like, the mirror image of John Jones, but in my case, or in my opinion, a little bit better in some ways, but he's older. So I think the attributes kind of weigh out. And I think that's going to be an amazing fight because Cormier should be able to impose his same skill set. The only thing that'll be different is that Anderson doesn't have the wrestling that John Jones does.
I wish they would have kept it. I wish they would have made that the main event. Not that I think Miesha Tate...
If it would have been a 5-round fight, I think they would have.
Well, couldn't they have made it a 5-round fight?
I don't know why they didn't. They haven't said that
Maybe
yet.
Anderson's camp said no thank you.
Well, no, I would assume Anderson, if he's going to fight, might as well fight for the title.
Yeah.
Now then again, I don't want to fight 5 rounds. But I don't see Anderson doing that. Of course he'll fight for the title. How many times has he fought for the title,
Most of the time he fought to keep the title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't see why he wouldn't do that. But yes, that should have been the main event, 5-round title fight. Miesha Tate, Amanda Nunes should have been the co-main event, which Dana said it well. He said, Miesha Tate beat the woman who beat the woman,
Right.
Like that's how it went. Ronda Rousey was the person to beat.
Holly Holm kicked her face off.
Holly Holm won, and then Miesha Tate beat Holly Holm, which I was there for that fight. And I've been to UFC events before, and I've always said I won't go to a UFC fight anymore. I tried to boycott it unless I was cornering.
Right.
If I'm cornering, I'll go. But Brooke, convinced me to go. And finally, they have these little receivers that you can have earbuds for, and it's a little UFC receiver. And you can listen
so
to...
you can follow it because
Yeah.
for $500, you're probably still sitting in the bathrooms.
You're sitting in the nosebleed section, and you can't hear anything other than the big guy beside you with UFC gloves on. It's drunk.
That's me.
Well, actually, I take that back. When we saw...
Who watches the fights with the gloves
oh
on?
my God! We see it all the time.
Really?
Big adults wearing gloves.
That's like wearing a football jersey to a football game, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
no.
what it is.
Well, no, I think it's a little worse.
Well-
I think wearing the UFC Reebok apparel to the fight is like the jersey. The gloves are. I think that's putting on a helmet and carrying around a football.
I'm going to a fight with a headgear. I'll put headgear and a mouthpiece in, and it'll be good.
That'll be hilarious. But no. When I was there for Anderson Chael 2, I want to say,
Okay.
I can't remember. You could hear a pin drop in the place. I feel like I could have called out instructions for Anderson. That's how quiet it was, and we were in the nosebleed, so that was just insane. But then for Holly Holm and Miesha Tate and Connor and Nate won in this case. It was just electric. Like I got goosebumps so many times that night from the walkouts. Like Miesha Tate coming out to Eye of the Tiger, the whole I'm a champion. Who is that? Is that
Eye of the Tiger is Survivor.
No.
We Are the Champions is Queen.
No, God, no. The new version. You know her. Do I have to sing it?
Yeah, I don't know what song you mean. I Am a Champion.
No. I've got the eye of a tiger.
Katy Perry.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Amazing. Like every time I hear that song now, I
Baby,
get chills.
you're a firework.
No, not that song.
But no, I know which one.
I don't think we can play it. I don't think we're allowed.
I know which one you mean, though.
Okay, yes. But yes, that's Katy Perry too.
I don't think we're on Katy Perry's radar. We can play whatever we want.
Maybe
No
we
one's
might be
busting
taken down from iTunes
Maybe.
if we play something that's copywritten. But anyways, man, that was electric. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to listen to the commentators, and I would go see a UFC fight if it was like that again.
So I know you focus on the fighters. You focus on what they deserve and their credibility, and that's it. I am an internet troll, so I focus on like everybody's anger. I like to look around and see what everybody's mad
Sure.
about. And today, I'll tell you what everyone's mad about. They're complaining that Miesha Tate and Nunes got the main event because that's not a main event. It should have been Silva and Cormier. It could have been Lesnar and Hunt. It shouldn't have been the women. One, I think the women's division is absolutely out of control. Two, it's not like it's what they're using to promote the show. They're not banking 200 on Miesha Tate. She's not on any posters. It's a title fight, so it's the main event.
I think that makes sense.
It's a title fight.
Yep.
Lesnar is the big name, which is hilarious because just 3 months ago I saw him in a street fight at WrestleMania 32 with Dean Ambrose.
Crazy.
And they were hitting each other with chairs and tables and ladders and stuff.
When they asked him at the press conference, so, do you think this is going to be a one and done or what? And he's like, well, I'm booked through August. So, because what does he have in August?
SummerSlam.
Like, holy crap. Like, that's insane.
He has a program with SummerSlam, and they expect him to be coming back at some point and feuding with either Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns, whoever has the title.
That's crazy.
Maybe Seth Rollins.
Yeah, they were, everybody is kind of baffled of, why are you doing this? I think he legitimately just wants to have fun. He's got the money. He's got the fame. He's already won a title.
Everything he does is motivated by money. I mean,
sure,
the money is there.
Sure, yeah. So literally, the reason that he's doing this is just because he wants to. He doesn't have to.
Right.
Doesn't have to do it.
And I think he's good enough. And the UFC, do you think the UFC did him a favor? Did he had a lot of input with his opponent, I'm assuming. I don't
know.
He doesn't want to get Frank Mir'd again. He doesn't want to go against someone that can tap him.
That would be interesting because him and Frank Mir have gone 1-1.
Right.
So that would have been a trilogy. But I don't think that would have been as fun of a fight.
I just remember the first fight where I was like, here's Brock Lesnar, the beast. Everyone expects him to be a beast. And then footlock, tap, tap, tap.
Yep, yeah, it was a knee bar.
He just got caught. Yep. So they're putting him in with a guy that you just don't get hit by this bus crash. That is because Mark Hunt is slow, but if he hits you,
oh my God,
you're in the hospital.
He is one of the hardest hitters I've ever seen.
He doesn't win though, right? I don't think he wins.
I don't know. He's got 2 punches. He's got his bolo punch, which is like an uppercut, but he takes it from the hip. And it's coming from all the way down here whenever it comes.
I feel like even if you block his punches, it has to hurt so much.
It's still going to knock you around, yeah, unless you're 300 pounds like Brock Lesnar. But the other one is his. So here's the thing: Brock Lesnar is, if I'm looking into the camera, Brock Lesnar is here for Hunt. That's how much taller he is.
Yeah, he's like 6'7" or something.
Yeah. So I don't think he's 6'7", but he's something like that. Look it up.
I'm looking it up right now.
He's tall, but he's not. I don't think he's 6'7". I want to say he's like 6'4", 6'5", maybe 6'4". So Hunt has this dip the head overhand that he hits on taller opponents, and I think he could do that.
6'3". Boy, was I off. They say he's 6'6", and
that's hilarious.
In the WWE.
And Andre the Giant was 459
pounds, 7-foot wonders. I'm sorry, I'm going with WWE stats. They give everybody an extra 50 pounds, and they give everybody an extra 4 inches.
Yeah, so he's not that tall. I mean, what are you, 6'2"?
6'2.5". Yeah, I'm right under there.
So you and Lesnar would be, although his head is ginormous. Who knows?
It's like a case of beer.
It is.
His head is.
Did you hear about the gloves too? That 4X gloves didn't fit him. Those are the biggest that they have. So they had to stretch them out so he could barely get his hand in. And he's like, with the wrap, how am I supposed to put this on?
Was it you that told me the story about his hands though? He got upset someone had bigger hands than him in the back.
I don't know. I don't think it was.
Or did somebody said something like someone needed bigger gloves than he did and he got really upset?
I don't know. I don't think that was me. Might have been.
I don't know.
But I don't remember that story.
I have a couple people that would have told me something like that. I don't know if it's true.
Here's the cool thing about Lesnar. He's training with Greg Nelson of the Academy. Greg Nelson, he's an Ajurn of the Thai Boxing Association and an Ajurn Chai.
In a roundabout way, he's part of our lineage.
Yes.
Here at the gym, right?
Yep. Yeah. He's under Eric Paulson. He's,
so we're rooting for Brock this weekend.
Sure, yeah. I want to see him win, but I also have
Brock's our teammate.
There you go.
Who would have known?
Yeah, how about it? But I also I don't have as much of a connection to Brock, obviously, as I do like Greg Nelson and all of them. But I don't know. Sometimes I kind of do want to root for the underdog. So if Hunt ended up winning, good job, because like you said, you don't think that Hunt's going to win. I think he has a puncher's chance. I think that Lesnar
is fast.
Yes. Yes. Very fast. And he has such a long reach. Like that cross he hit Heath Herring with, I think it was what was his name was. He hit him, and Heath Herring did a backflip. Like he went back and he did a backflip, and Lesnar just crashed into him. So he has this huge reach. He has power. He's tall. So he could still get the better of the exchange of the punches. But if it goes to the ground, Lesnar's going to get the side control and just do his Donkey Kong smashing the face thing and win. I think that's how it's going to go.
I hope Paul Heyman comes out with him, cuts a promo first, and then brings out Brock. I hope Brock comes out to his regular theme music.
That'll be hilarious.
And then he comes out with a shirt that says Suplex City. And then
how awesome would it be if he's suplexed?
It would be like suplex.
Mortal cunt.
It would be awesome. I think it would be cool. His entrance into the ring in WWE is cooler than any Octagon entrance ever, because he stands at the front of the ring and he, does a little bit of this, and then when the music hits the right spot, he jumps from the floor to the ring and fireworks go off.
Amazing.
On the ring post. That's amazing.
Amazing.
You can't beat that.
No.
If they set that up in the Octagon where he could jump into the Octagon and go wow.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
So you can make fun of pro wrestling as much as you want, but the showmanship is definitely
it's incredible.
It's definitely there.
Some people are getting, you mentioned, people hating on Dana White and the UFC, and you get a lot of fighters that are like, oh, it's just all about the show and making money and blah, blah, blah. Yes, you're right.
It should be.
Yes, this is a business.
It's got to look good and
yeah.
glitzy, and he's charging like $300 for cheap tickets, so that should be a big show.
Yes, exactly. But you get these fighters that get so ticked with that, and it's just like, come on, dude. Like, okay, are you a professional fighter? Do you want to make money? So you obviously want to be in the UFC because they do pay the most,
right.
Overall.
Although some will choose Bellator.
Sure, Bellator pays well as well, but for the most part, you want to make the big bucks. You get, to middle to upper tier, upper level UFC fighter, and you're making some money.
So I don't know what I'm talking about. My picks don't matter as much. So let's run down the card as I know it in my head, and I'm going to have you pick the fights. I'm going to guess my picks,
sure,
but I want to hear your picks too.
Sure.
Okay, so...
Here we'll go.
Maybe not do all the prelims because there are probably like 40 fights tomorrow night.
Yeah. In fact, let me mention these, and if you know something about them and you have a guess, let me know what you think. If you don't know anything about them, I'll tell you a few things.
Okay.
So because this whole card is stacked.
Well, I think the first one you're going to mention is the one that I think could have been a main event for another card.
No, I'm going to go from the prelims on UFC Fight Pass. Jim Miller, Takanori Gomi.
Don't know those guys.
Jim Miller is one of the toughest people on planet Earth.
Sounds like a guy that works at a steel mill.
He looks like it too.
Okay.
They're lightweights, so they're not big guys.
Jim Miller sounds like an assistant football coach for a college team.
You're right, yeah. And Takanori Gomi is a legend in the sport. That'll be an amazing fight. Gegard Mousasi, Thiago Santos. I don't know too much about Santos, but Mousasi is another just monster. That's a middleweight fight. At one point, they were talking about Mousasi was saying, "Hey, I'll fight DC," but then that would have left Santos out of a fight. So,
right.
It didn't make. Diego Sanchez, Joe Lozon.
Okay.
You know who Diego Sanchez is?
Yeah, and Joe Lozon.
Yeah. So that will be, both of them are going to go to the middle of the octagon and just throw.
And just stay there.
The whole time. Do you remember the fight between Clay Guida and Diego Sanchez?
Clay Guida is one of those guys that could go 15 rounds, and I don't think he'll ever win, but he could just go all night.
As long as he gets to his corner and burps. Have you seen him do that? He goes,
no.
It's hilarious.
He's like a caveman.
He is. So I think that's how this fights. I think they're just going to throw down.
Like a Chris, who's the guy, Chris Liebman? Was that?
Chris Lieben, yeah.
Lieben, that guy would just... Didn't he knock someone out while he was unconscious? He's standing up. He's like practically asleep. He just threw a wild...
might have. Yeah, he had a good chin. His first... the first time he was exposed, really, was with Anderson. Anderson just stood off to the side and hit him while all of Chris's punches were coming here and, completely dominated him. Sage Northcutt's fighting again, too. I don't know much about this Marion guy he's fighting, but that'll be an interesting fight. Sage is one of these. He's just a natural athlete.
How many of the prelims will be televised?
1, 2,
With Fight
3,
Pass,
4.
I guess you'll see them all.
Yeah. So 3 on Fight Pass, 4 on Fox Sports 1, and then the main card. But no, getting back to Sage Northcutt, you know who he is, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Which he looks like a superhero. He looks like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Awesome.
Met He-Man.
Yeah.
You know?
Zach took steroids.
Did he? Oh, that's right.
That's what it is.
That's right. Oh, I could go on and on about Saved by the Bell.
I love Saved by the Bell.
At some point, we'll also get into 90210, which is one of my favorite shows ever.
I never watched that show.
How did you not watch 90210?
I watched a little bit of it.
When we were in Hermosa Beach a few weeks ago, we looked up how close their beach house was that they filmed at.
Oh, my goodness.
And they were only about two miles away, and I'm like, we have to go to that.
Did you go see it? Did you go see
we
the
didn't
site?
this time, but we're going to.
Right.
Yeah. So getting back to this.
You were a Jason Priestley guy, or did you like Luke Perry?
Jason Priestley was a little too much of like I did like the bad boy vibe coming from Luke Perry and Dylan, but he was a little too bad for me. So I was kind of in between him and Brandon.
Bad boy hanging out at the Pete's Pit.
The better question is, which you don't know all the girls, you probably know them by
Shannon Doherty.
Yeah, so that was Brenda. I wasn't a Brenda fan. I was a Valerie Malone fan, and if I could pull up Valerie Malone, she was Saved by the Bell. It was Kelly
Kapowski.
Kelly Kapowski.
She was Kelly.
Was Valerie? Yes.
Oh, but I bet she was hotter in 90210 because she was older.
She was a lot hotter.
And probably wore less clothes.
A little bit, yeah.
Hey man, can you get that series on Netflix or something?
I think you can.
I feel like I need to check that out.
You totally have to watch 90210. It's a commitment. I want to say it's like 26 seasons or something.
It's going to be some time.
Yeah, but 90210 was my life whenever I was younger. It was hilarious. I would skateboard, I would play punk rock music, I would snowboard, and I would watch 90210 and martial arts.
I used to. Here's my awful confession. I used to watch Dawson. I was into Dawson's Creek.
I never got into that.
Man,
never got into it.
Joey was awesome.
Was he?
No, it was a her.
Oh,
Joey.
That shows how much I know about it.
It's funny. There was a Pacey who I would think was a girl, and then
I would have known Pacey was a guy.
Pacey is the kid from Mighty Ducks. And Joey is the woman that married Tom Cruise for a minute.
Okay.
I can't think of anybody's names right now. I'm blanking on it. You're like, I don't know him. Joey was hot. I'm glad you know now Joey's a girl.
I do. That would have been bad if you were like, Joey was so hot, and I would have said there was something that I apparently didn't know about you.
Yeah.
Although I'm fine mentioning when a guy's good looking. You can't deny it. You know. Okay, so getting back to this card.
This is what we do. We take many roads.
We do, and it's just like boom, we're off in another direction. T.J. Dillashaw, Rafael Assunção, I forget how you pronounce his last name.
So many hard last names in the UFC.
Yeah, Johnny Hendricks, Kelvin Gastelum. Man, that's going to be an insane fight too. Go ahead.
You haven't gotten to a fight yet that I really know about.
These are all insane fights. Kat Zingano, Juliana Pena. You know who Kat Zingano is, don't you? No, she's...
Was she on 90210?
She should have been. She's pretty.
Yeah.
Very pretty. And then, now on to the main card, which you probably know. Cain Velasquez, Travis Brown.
Got it.
That fight... I was actually surprised. I thought Travis Brown was going to be a lot taller than Cain. He's taller than him. He has a longer reach, but he wasn't that much bigger than him.
I feel like Cain's going to win that fight.
He might. I feel like Cain has lost a step, number one. Number two, the heavyweight talent has got him better. So you add those two things into his career moving forward, I think it's going to be tough for him to win too many fights.
You're always talking about attributes and having to make up when you lose certain attributes. So when you get old, just because you get older doesn't mean you're going to lose. It doesn't mean you're going to be bad.
You just have to figure out. You have
to tighten it up.
Yes. Anderson is a perfect example. I think that he lost a step all the way back before he fought Sonnen for the first time. I think he lost. He almost lost the fight with Sonnen the first time.
He won that thing in like the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, which is crazy with the triangle. So I think he lost a step before that, but he's just so good that he found ways to win that overruled his inability to keep up with these, number one, people who are on steroids, and number two, people who are a lot younger than them. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
You talked about it in class to go to the Cain Velasquez fight.
Yeah.
You talked about how when they get older, heavyweights tend to get knocked out more because they go up against people that are a little faster. And when someone that's a heavyweight is going against someone faster, they try to do more, and then they don't bring their hands back, and they leave more gaps.
Yeah, you're on the right track. The problem is when a heavyweight tries to keep up, and I'll kind of break this down. When a heavyweight tries to keep up with a lightweight in the gym, in sparring, and if they're always trying to keep up with lightweights, they can't go as fast as a lightweight.
Right.
So what do? They have to somehow compensate for that. So they half their punches. Instead of throwing like a cross from the whole way back, they start throwing shorter punches to try to keep up with them, and shorter kicks. And the nice thing about that in sparring is that they're not going to be throwing with full power.
Right.
But they do that enough, and that becomes habit, the whole practice makes habit thing, which I got to give Greg Nelson props on that. I think he was the first person that said that to me. Practice makes habit. So you start throwing these short punches like this that aren't coming back to your head, and you're not covered, and that's going to come out in the fighting, and you're right. So then, yeah, you start losing some speed just because you're getting older. You start trying to make up for it like that, and then you get two heavyweights in the ring. If you have one that's younger and faster, the older and slower one is going to try to make up for it.
And he's going to get smooshed.
Yes.
Going to get smooshed. All right. Yeah. So I still think Cain's going to win that fight.
I could see him winning that fight. I'm not a very big fan of the heavyweight division. I'm really not. But I could see Travis Brown winning it. Jose Aldo.
You're not making a pick?
How
do you not make a pick? You have to make a pick.
I can't between that.
You're the worst gambler ever.
No, that's why I don't. I actually lost some money in Vegas last week. But anyways, no, I'm not going to bet on any fights that I'm not sure of. So this might be interesting if you want my picks.
Well, I want your picks because then we can compare picks at the next podcast, and we can see who wins.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know. I can't say. I can see both of them winning.
You're playing this game wrong.
I'm being honest. I'm sorry.
All right, next fight.
Well, okay, you're not going to like this next one either. Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar.
Okay,
I'm rooting for Frankie Edgar.
Frankie Edgar is going to win this fight, and Frankie Edgar is awesome. I'm rooting for Frankie, and
okay.
Aldo could win the fight, sure, but since you have to pick one, I'm picking Frankie Edgar.
Okay, we'll let you pick Frankie Edgar. I don't know who's going to win.
You're the worst.
Daniel Cormier, Anderson Silva, even worse. I don't know who's going to win that more than the last two fights.
Do you think Aldo can beat Edgar?
Yes, I do. Well, he beat him before. It was a decision. It wasn't very, it's not like he put an exclamation point on anything. But I do think he could win it.
See, I love that fight. I think that fight could have been put to the main event.
Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a title fight.
It is, though.
It's an interim title fight, so
it's 5 rounds, right? Because it's interim
Yeah,
title.
You're right. Yeah, it is 5 rounds.
So, although Conor McGregor made sure to hold his real belt up yesterday at the press conference to remind everybody.
Yeah.
So now we're to Silva Cormier.
Silva Cormier. Okay, so here's how Cormier can win. He wrestles him the whole time. He takes him down. He beats him up on the ground. Done. He doesn't get hit while he goes in. 3 rounds. He wins the fight. Simple as that.
It'll be a boring fight.
It would be a boring fight. He's not going to submit Silva. He may, but I don't see that happening.
But it won't be like his last fight where Cormier's face looked like cheddar cheese by the end. Who did he fight? Alexander Gustafsson.
Was it Gustafsson that he fought last?
It was the last one I saw him fight, and his face was he won, and it was not the face of a winner.
Daniel Cormier,
right? I think it was.
We
watched it together at Champs. I remember you ate like two dozen wings.
Oh man, I can't wait for the wings and the nachos. Gustafsson, split decision. Before that, he fought Rumble Johnson. So I think that's how Cormier wins it. I would rather be right in the predictions of how somebody wins than be right on who wins.
But that's not the game.
Okay. Well, but that's pretty cool if I can actually if I can point and say that's where my ball's going.
That's how he's going to win.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how Cormier wins. He could also clip Anderson. Anderson's chin isn't very good anymore since he's older. He's been hit a few times. Anderson could win by anything crazy that he decides to think of. I mean,
he's a very creative fighter.
Oh my God. Yeah. And Anderson, I think he's lost some of his timing, but I don't think that matters versus Cormier. I think he can still out-time Daniel Cormier.
He can't get so showy.
His showy stuff works.
Don't you think he learned against Bisping, don't toy with them?
He should have. I think, though, what gets me is he still has some of the, here, come here, I'm going to sit up against the cage, and you can go and try to hit me, and I'm going to bop and weave and slip. Like, don't do that, Anderson. Don't do that with Daniel Cormier because he's going to take you down and beat you up. But I could see him winning by, his front kick to the face, his spinning techniques. He's got some insane elbows.
If he wins this fight, do we see Silva Cormier for the belt?
No, I don't think that'll ever happen.
If he beats him,
yeah, maybe,
if
but
he beats him,
I don't think that'll happen. I don't. I wish this was the chance. Like I said, it should have been 5-round title fight. Anderson wins this, then he challenges Michael Bisping for the title. That would have been amazing.
So what's your pick for this fight?
I told you. Those are the two ways that they're going to win.
Cormier's going to win the fight, and he's going to win it by beating Anderson Silva. That's my prediction. That's
right.
And I called how he's going to win it.
All right.
He's going to win it by winning.
Okay, win it by winning. I like it. Brock Lesnar, Mark Hunt. What do you think?
Lesnar.
How?
I think with his speed, I think he's going to wrestle him. I think he's going to get him down, like you said, and Donkey Kong punch his face.
Yep.
I think he has to avoid the public bus punches.
Yes.
I mean, it's like getting hit by a bus.
It really is.
With Mark Hunt.
It really is.
By the way, Mark Hunt, like your name is Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
It's like, is your brother named Mike Hunt?
Yes, exactly.
Unbelievable. Unreal. So I just think Brock Lesnar wins. He needs to win because he's going to have a championship shot here at SummerSlam.
Oh, at SummerSlam.
Probably against Seth Rollins.
So do you think, like people are saying, well, if he loses in the UFC, then that's going to hurt his ratings? No. I don't see. The only way that it hurts him is if he gets hurt. Sure.
If he has everything to lose.
Oh, and then he can't wrestle.
If he gets injured and he can't go to the WWE, I mean, he makes a lot of money for a limited appearance. The wrestlers with WWE, most of them.
What do they make?
Well, most of them, let's just say a typical big guy, a typical big-named guy like Dean Ambrose or Seth Rollins, there are bonuses worked in for if you have championships and things like that. Some make $500,000 a year. Some make $1.5 million. Some make $3 million. Brock Lesnar is the highest paid on the roster, $6 million a year. And here's the deal with him. Most of them travel 300 days out of the year.
And they wrestle.
And they wrestle. They do house shows, which he never does. He does 2 house shows a year, and they're both overseas, and they are put into pay-per-views. And they're expected to wrestle Monday nights for Monday Night Raws all year. They're expected to wrestle once a month at the pay-per-views. Like they wrestle 300 days out of the year.
Wow.
He does, I think he has 20 Monday night appearances. He does 5 pay-per-views, so 5 months. He wrestles like less than half of it, and he makes more than everybody.
Wow.
He's just got a sweetheart deal because he's a huge draw.
Yeah, he is.
He's a huge draw.
Do you think that is because of his size?
His size and the fact that when he was in the WWE, he did work a full schedule before, and he was just super popular and great. He doesn't do a whole lot now. He stands there. He doesn't even talk. They have Paul Heyman be his manager. He does the talking. He's aces on the microphone, and Brock just stands there.
Brock's good on the mic, too.
He is sometimes, and he says things like, they built a whole campaign about him talking trash in the middle of a fight during WrestleMania last year. He just was suplexing Roman Reigns, and it was just spontaneous. It was picked up on the camera. He just looked at him and he was like, "Welcome to Suplex City, bitch." and the next night there was Suplex City chants, and now there's Suplex City t-shirts. And now it's Welcome to Suplex City. Constantly.
Wow.
And it's just he's a marketing machine.
Yes.
And I think UFC and WWE working together here is nice. It's also a slap in the face to CM Punk. Because CM Punk left the WWE. He gave one of these, said, I'm going to the UFC. That was 2 years ago. I think now he's going to fight in October.
Something
against
like that.
Mike Galley, some kid that has 2 fights.
Yeah, well, I think he has more than he had 2 or 3 fights, and he won his fight in the UFC, his last fight. So
Mikey Gall, I think, but he goes
Gall.
by Mikey. Why do you go by Mikey?
I don't know. He's a tough kid. I could see him. Well, I don't know much about CM Punk. I don't know how his training's looking, and there's a rumor that apparently they had some smokers in his gym, and he did 10 smokers and he lost all of them except for 1. What's something crazy?
What's
like
a
that?
smokers?
So a smoker is a non-sanctioned quote unquote fight that's a little bit harder than a sparring match, but the idea is it's not a full-on fight. That's the idea of a smoker.
So you can get fight experience.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a ref, and there's a win, and there's a lose. And, So that's the idea of a smoker. So he apparently had 10 of them or something like that.
And he lost them all.
Lost all except for 1 or something.
That's no
weird
good.
like that. And that's not good.
Yet he was WWE champ for a whole year.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to.
Because no one's writing the ending of this.
No.
So they've got to, it's dangerous. I don't think it's dangerous for Brock. I think he's untouchable at this point.
He is. Yeah.
But if Mark Hunt concusses him or breaks his face, then he misses out on the SummerSlam payday. And that's the big show.
I don't know what. I don't see. If he can walk and he's not in any casts or anything, I think he'll be fine. I really do.
So who do you think wins that fight? Pick one.
So Mark Hunt, if he wins, it's this long overhand that he throws. Not a long, it's kind of a close overhand where he dips his head overhand and then knocks him out that way, or that bolo punch. And then if Brock Lesnar wins, which I wanted to confirm this with Greg Nelson, but I'm sure he's busy and everything, with the whole getting him ready for the fights tomorrow. I was going to shoot him a text. But I think Brock is going to shoot a super low single ankle pick and then put him down and Donkey Kong punch him. That's how one of them wins.
Trying to find, this was Brock Lesnar's opponent at WrestleMania. It's a little different than Mark Hunt, and he beat Dean Ambrose. He beat this guy.
Who's that?
That's Dean Ambrose. That's the WWE champion. I don't know if you can pull.
He looks like the guitarist of AC/DC.
Yeah, that's the WWE champion. He fought Brock Lesnar in a street fight. So Brock Lesnar's last fight was against this guy.
That's not a fight. It doesn't count.
It was a street fight. It was a street fight.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose brought a chainsaw to the ring and hit Brock with it, but he didn't start it.
That's hilarious.
And then the main event, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna win that one either. Misha Tate, Amanda Nunes. I think Misha is one of the toughest, durable female fighters on the planet.
Are we in an endless cycle with the women's division where Holly Holm can beat Ronda Rousey every time, and Misha Tate can beat Holly Holm every time, and Ronda can beat Misha Tate every time, and we're just.
I don't know. I don't know if Ronda's going to come back. I really don't.
How does one loss break somebody like that? One loss.
When you
everybody loses.
I know, and the losses make you better. They really do. I mean, Misha Tate's a perfect example. One of her first fights was against Caitlin Stein, who is Eric Paulson, CSW fighter. And this was in Bodog. Have you seen this fight?
No. With
Misha Tate, it was in Bodog, and I think it was at the Playboy Mansion, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was outside. It was televised and whatnot.
Loser gets hepatitis.
Probably. Yeah. Don't fall down. And she got head kicked. Caitlin Stein head kicked Misha Tate and knocked her out cold. And to see her go from that to, UFC champion, unbelievable. And it's all because she's learned from all of her losses. I was thinking about, I won't name names, but and you could probably figure it out. But there's a current UFC champion who came and trained with us and had a blast with him. Had a lot of fun rolling and whatnot, but I got the better of him rolling every time. It wasn't very difficult. We were around the same size, and and submissions happened and whatnot. But to stay respectful, I won't say his name.
You will when this is over.
Sure.
I'm dying to know.
Sure. So if I just look at that, if I just look at, okay, I submitted this guy and he's now he's a UFC champion. If I said that to myself and believed that hype, it would be ridiculous because I'm not the UFC champion right now. Like, look at what he's done. So even if I was submitting him back then, every single time that he lost, it helped him get to the point he is right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just unbelievable. It is believable, but it's amazing to see people be able to do that, to take all their losses in the gym, if you want to count them as losses, learning, and all their losses in the ring or the octagon, and then take all of those, learn from them, and then rise to the occasion and become the best fighter at your weight class. Like, that's amazing.
Did he get frustrated when he was getting tapped?
Not at all. No,
that's
not at all.
Awesome.
No, we just kept training. It was just training.
I keep reading posts, some from you, some from other people, some from just jiu-jitsu sites. Like I'm taking an interest in that more and more.
Sure.
And it seems like there's a lot of the biggest problem is when an advanced belt gets tapped by a white or a yellow belt. Or,
if you have an ego.
I don't understand that. Like, it seems like a lot of the work coming from instructors is trying to keep people's egos in check with rolling. Is that really that big a problem? I guess it is.
To people that have egos, yeah. Lonely Dog, who was in, we put up a podcast on the Dog Brothers site. He said egos are the biggest, I'm not quoting him on this. This is probably rather butchered, but
paraphrase.
Yeah, egos are the biggest problem that you have with progression and whatnot. If you have an ego, that's going to disrupt everything, and I think that's how it is. Like if a higher belt has an ego about getting tapped, then that's going to lead to them not wanting to roll with someone who can tap them. So even if they are a lower belt, I get tapped all the time by lower belts.
What does it matter?
It doesn't. It's training. You know what I mean? Now in competition,
don't you kind of want them to get that experience of tapping someone too?
Sure, but I never let There's going to be situations where I'm letting you get the tap, but I don't ever want you to know that. I want every single time someone taps me, I don't want them to know if it was legit or if I was letting them. I want them to be like, I just tapped him, and that's it.
So it's not the same thing as working clinch and working pummeling, where you're working together and you're giving resistance, but you're not trying to dominate. So it's different than that.
Well, when you're rolling, when you're rolling with somebody, it's 100%. You're not trying to hurt each other, but you're trying to submit each other. So you get an arm bar, you're going to where that person taps. You get a choke, you're going to where they're almost about to pass out and they tap. That's why you're tapping. So when egos come into play and you have someone who doesn't want to tap to somebody who's a lower rank than them, they'll either not roll them, they may not tap, and then they get injured. That's a great one.
Right.
Why would you do that? And both of those are hindrances to their progression and their whatever. So if you're not rolling with the person who can tap you, how are you going to get better?
And you could point to whoever you're talking about rolling with you, not getting upset, getting tapped, and then now UFC champion.
Unbelievable.
And that doesn't mean that you would be UFC champion right now.
No, it doesn't. But like I said, it's easy to think that. So bringing this full circle back to the whole Ronda beats Misha, Misha beats Holly, Holly beats Ronda. So Misha Tate has lost 3 times, or has it been 3? 2 times to Ronda Rousey?
2, I think.
2, yeah. So she's the kind of person that she'll go back and she's going to win this time. You know what I mean? Like, that's her mentality. I'm going to win. Even though I lost twice before, I'm going to win.
Do you think Ronda got too Hollywood and now that's it? She's not coming back?
I think ego came into play with her as well.
Because I thought that was I sort of thought that was happening to Conor McGregor till I saw him yesterday.
Yeah, he's very humble, but he kind of dropped off the radar once he lost.
He lost his mind. I thought he lost his mind, and then he didn't get 200, and I didn't realize that it was more Dana problem than a him problem.
Yeah.
But now he's coming back, and I think that Nate Diaz could be in trouble.
Yeah. So when you watch that fight the first time, Conor had trouble reaching him with all of his power shots. So he says that he's been training with people that are 6 foot plus, which insinuates before he wasn't doing that. That's
because he was playing touch butt in the park with some dork in a ponytail. That's the best ever.
It really was. But that's why, like I say, you know, when we're training, I mean, you train with people who are shorter than you, who are taller than you, and you get people with egos that are tall that are like, why would I want to train with someone that's shorter than me? And they don't realize because they want to train with you. You know, you're taller than them, and they want to get that experience, wouldn't you know?
Yeah.
And then you get someone like, we had some monsters in the gym last year that are 6'4", 6'5", and we have more coming up.
That's annoying to me. I like being one of the taller people.
Yeah, we've talked about that, about how nice it is to be tall. But it would be the same thing as them going, I don't want to work with Jerry because he's shorter than me. Like, come on, you know? So everybody working with everybody allows you experience for you know, fighting as well. And I think with Conor, he was only training with people his height or shorter because he was going to fight Aldo. You know?
And so now he's...
Edgar, by the way, is shorter than Aldo.
Who do you think wins the fight between Diaz and McGregor this time?
I think Diaz wins again.
I'd like Diaz to win again. I root for him. I don't know why I like his thug life so much, but I think that McGregor is coming in taking it way more seriously than he ever
I agree
did.
with that.
I think he's going to be harder to get out.
Yes. And here's the thing. Even if he loses that fight, that's a huge money fight for him. The financial angle to this is amazing.
Diaz should be sending McGregor a Christmas card because this got him on the money map.
Yes, big time. And even if Conor loses this, he goes back to 45 and he defends the title. Apparently, I don't think he can make 45 again. I've said that for well over a year, that after he fights Aldo, he will never see 45 again. There's another interesting fact. He's won 3 titles. He's never defended them. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So 2 other organizations and then UFC. He's never defended any of those.
That's kind of crummy.
Yeah, well, or you just move on to the next big organization. I think that's what happened.
Right.
But that's what happened.
When's Diaz get a title shot with somebody? Will he get one if he takes McGregor out twice?
Good question. Man, Robbie Lawler would kill Nate Diaz. Kill him.
So he doesn't want any part of that.
No, and he'll probably go back down to 55 and fight like Eddie Alvarez. I could see that. So I don't see Conor McGregor beating Nate Diaz. I don't see that. I see him getting beaten up on the feet, even though he was getting the better of the exchange the first round. I really think he was. If he just gets hit a few times, he kind of gets staggered, and that's why he shot him for that sloppy double
and then jujitsu'd.
Yeah, which by the way, props to Conor. He was just out training with Chris Howder. I just posted a clip on my Facebook page of that. And Chris is one of the first American black belts. He's really into the reality side of things, which I really respect. Mark Denny of Dog Brothers trains with him a lot. In fact, I think there's 2 or 3 other Dog Brothers that are in the clip where Conor McGregor is training with Chris Howder in them, and I've fought at least 2 of them, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's neat. And you see Conor McGregor rolling with one of the guys I fought.
And when you fought them with sticks, right?
Yeah.
Because you only stick fought, so that means they used to fight with sticks too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. The people in the clip, and I could point them out to you. I won't mention their names and whatnot.
Did you win?
No. I only fought the one guy once, and he crushed me. Like he took my soul with that fight.
But that doesn't seem like something that ever really bothers you. Like probably at the moment you're upset with the defeat, and it might stick with you a day or two. But you seem to be unnaturally okay with defeat and victory, and like you just very level.
To me, it's whatever. You know,
I'll be a mess. I'd be a mess.
Yeah, I'm not like that. I look at life as an accumulation of success, and I like to think of it as one little tick down in success when I've had success in other places, it doesn't bother me. It really
And
doesn't.
you're still competing, which is something not a lot of people do.
I haven't competed in a while. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to feel up for doing some jiu-jitsu tournaments again. And I'll do a gathering or 2 or 3, or I'll probably do gatherings well into my 40s or 50s. But same thing with jiu-jitsu. But this has been the longest sabbatical I've taken from fighting since I started in my early 20s. I think I started whenever I was.
Do they ever have tournaments, like stick fighting tournaments and stuff?
They did. The first one I did was a tournament, and that was the last tournament. I've just done gatherings. The other thing I want to do at some point is I've never been to a gathering that I haven't fought at. I just want to go to a gathering and watch.
And leave feeling fresh.
Yeah, as opposed to every single gathering. It's I come in, okay, I pick my fights, and then all right, let's fight.
Maybe just fight once this time instead of 3 times.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen. I've thought that before. I think I'm just going to fight once, and then I end up fighting 4 or 5 times. So I need to go into it where, here's the thing, I won't fight without my mask. Like I won't take somebody else's mask. So if I leave my mask at home, I won't fight.
Okay. It has to be your mask?
Yeah, I feel it's kind of like, okay, let's go for a jog. Here's some shoes that I used to wear that are my old Nikes. That would feel weird running in them.
Only your face is in the shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, so it's funky and weird, and the whole time you'd be adjusting it and trying to keep it on.
You just cornered a tournament.
Yes,
a Muay Thai tournament. It's a Jarn Chai's tournament. The
Muay Thai Classic in Iowa.
A lot of fights, and
500 fighters, I want to say 300 fights over 3 days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And CPA MMA was well represented.
Yeah, Elise Pone fought in the quarterfinals. She won. I think she took out I thought that if she wasn't going to beat this girl, she would have ended up fighting her in the finale. That's what I thought. And so we went into this and we had researched the heck out of her, and we formulated a game plan that was just perfect.
What was the game plan?
So the woman that she fought was...
I'm so interested in as your part of it all, as the corner. Like, so you study it, you have the game plan. At what point do you tell Miss Elise what the game plan is? Like, she working on it for
we watch
months?
the fighters. So here's what we do: we watch the fights together, and I do it very systematically. So the first thing you do is, okay, are they orthodox or southpaw, or do they switch between the two? That's the first thing. Second thing, what do they throw out of each lead? So if they are switching, do they only throw round kicks when they're in left lead? What are they, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you map all of that out. Okay, so what are they having success with? So for example, the person that she fought for the quarterfinals, she was a waiter, which I classify people into 3 categories. You're a waiter, you either initiate, you're the initiator, you're the counterer, or you're the waiter. If you initiate, you're the one that punches first. If you're the counterer, you're the person that you're either punching while they're punching, or you're punching right after they punch. If you're the waiter, you wait for them to stop punching and then you punch. So this fighter that she was fighting was a waiter. She would let you punch whatever you wanted, and then she would punch back. So she didn't initiate unless you initiated.
That doesn't sound like a wise move.
Well, but it worked for her.
Yeah.
She'd already won fights that way.
She'd
so
let
she's
you finish your thing, and then she'd go.
Yep. And in the scorecards, if you hit more than your opponent, and it's a decision, you should win.
Yeah.
That just makes sense. So if it's actually a very sound game plan. If you throw 2 punches at me and I block them, and then I throw 4 at you, I'm up. So that's the idea. So that's how the waiter wins.
Okay.
So we saw that she was a waiter, and we, instead of just going head on with her, which is, Elise is a very aggressive fighter. What we did was I said, don't do anything. Just hang out. Let her be the initiator, which she's not comfortable with.
Did that lead to a boring first round?
So the first round, the first like 15 to 20 seconds, like nothing happened. And I'm like, just wait. And then once she started initiating, Elise would get the better of her. So,
Right.
So that's how we won that fight.
Take her out of her game plan.
Yep.
But it's brutal because you've got to start by not doing anything And Ms. Elise is fast and aggressive.
Yes. So she wanted to get out there and just start throwing, and the plan was to wait. So that worked awesome. And then we advanced into the semifinals. In the semifinals, we fought someone we had no footage on. We didn't know anything about other than her fight the day before, which we watched. And we went into it with a different game plan, which I won't go into too much because we're probably going to use that again in the future. Man, the woman that she fought she was great.
The woman she fought ended up winning it all.
She won So Elise came out of it. I think she's now 3-1. You know, her one loss is to a champion. I think that's cool.
I think that's awesome.
The other thing we did was I had her go into it at her walking weight. I didn't have her cut any weight at all. So she went in at, I want to say, ended up weighing in at 128 or 129. When in reality she could have fought 124 if she cut the weight. So the people that she was fighting
were probably heavier than her.
They cut weight, yeah. So they were bigger than her. But that can a lot of times be the disadvantage at novice, because you're not used to losing that weight and then fighting the next day, and so that sometimes expends the gas tank quicker.
So Iowa was a good experience.
It was awesome. She did great. I'm so proud of her.
You've been all over the place. You did Iowa.
Yeah.
You just went to Vegas.
Vegas was fun.
You got Thai camp coming up. I know it's a lot of martial arts stuff because you went to Eric Paulson's gym and stuff. But
that was fun too.
But it's vacation too.
It is. Yeah, I love what I do here at the gym and teaching and whatnot. But being able to go somewhere else and just learn is super cool.
Yeah, I don't have vacations like that.
Yeah.
We're planning a Disney vacation right now. There's nothing relaxing about it.
So is it just because of the kids, not to put all the...
No, it's not even that. Have you done Disney?
I've done Disneyland. I did Disney World when I was younger. I don't remember it.
Okay, here's what Disney World has become.
Okay.
It's a plan fest. You have to plan absolutely everything.
Okay.
And it's not even like for crazy itinerary dads anymore. It's if you don't want this park and your thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to go to waste, you have to plan in advance or it will be a waste. You will wait 4 hours for rides. You won't get any dinner reservations. You'll be screwed.
So you literally plan it out by the hour.
You have to plan it out starting 200 days in advance or you're toast.
No way.
You have to. 200 days in advance, you book your resort.
So it's not like Hershey Park.
No. Not even close. Not even close. So here's the process. You get 200 days out, you find the resort. You book your resort, and hopefully you get the resort that you want. There are moderate resorts and deluxe resorts, and we're going to stay at Animal Kingdom. Thank God that's not the one where alligators eat kids.
Yeah, how about
There are giraffes there. So you stay at Animal Kingdom, all set. Now, 120 days out, if you don't book early, then when you get to 120 days out, you can't book your reservations for dinners. So by the time you get to 120 days out, you have to know which days you're going to be in which park. You want to know in advance whether you're going to be in Animal Kingdom that day or Hollywood Studios or the Magic Kingdom or Epcot. You want to know so you can book your reservations. Because if you want to get...
Or you could just eat at like the little food carts and crap, right?
You could. You absolutely could. But if you get the free dining plan, you want to use it.
Gotcha. Okay, so you were doing like you were staying there.
It's a 9-day vacation. It's a big vacation for the family. You don't go to Disney for just a couple of days. You do, and we have, but this is our big one. So a lot of experiences are tied into like you only get to meet Beast and Belle if you eat dinner at Belle's Castle or at the Beast's Castle. But guess what? 3 hours after your 120-day window's open, that week, all the reservations for all day are booked.
Crazy.
You can't get in. Cinderella's Castle, trying to get that on like your daughter's birthday. Good freaking luck.
Yeah.
So we have all the reservations we want for the restaurants. Now, some people hoard them. So my wife she just keeps checking. And like last night, she was like, I found Chef Mickey's at 5:20. We can cancel our 7:20 reservation now. And it's great because 60 days out, which we are very close to, you book your fast passes. Do you know what the fast pass is?
I do. So you can go, you know what time you're going to ride what ride and everything.
You have to know what ride you're riding on what day in which park 60 days before you go there.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Not to mention, it's hot as hell. You're 5 minutes from the sun when you're in Florida.
Yep.
They say it's the happiest place on earth, but the only look I see on the face of parents is like, oh my God, we almost went bankrupt. We have to have fun. Like there's this enormous amount of pressure.
So you said we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
You could spend anywhere from, if you stay at like the value resorts, you could stay for a week for $3,000, $4,000. You could stay for, I know people that have spent $17,000 in a week. We are
crazy.
Thank God, less than that. We are in between somewhere. But and that's before you get into like the memory maker photo passes.
And, sure. And everything that all the souvenirs. And
$40 for a balloon. And all the little add-ons you can do. Like you can watch the fireworks from a pirate ship with Captain
We're in the wrong
Hook.
business.
We really are.
We should be Disney.
But there's just like there's so much planning, and I've got an app on my phone that tells me the wait times for different rides, and so at midnight on June 19th, my wife and I are both going to be up, even though I have to work the next day, and we are going to be getting the fast passes so we can get the new Frozen ride, because if not, you have to wait 4 hours to get on it.
So Disneyland isn't like that. It's expensive.
It's smaller.
It's smaller, yeah. Brooke and I went to Disneyland and we rode all the rides we want in one day. So it must be a ton smaller.
It is. Plus, it only has like the Magic Kingdom. There are like 4 or 5 different parks at Disney World. It's just a lot of pressure. It's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
Like the resort where that kid was taken by the alligator. That's a heartbreaking story. But but that resort is $1,200 a night.
Wow.
The Grand Floridian is the most expensive resort there. It is across that lagoon from the Magic Kingdom, and that whole thing is crazy to me because they were having movies on the beach right down there. So they kind of invited you down to that area.
Yeah. Interesting.
Florida, man. I went kayaking in the Orange River in Florida, and this is what I compare it to. And if I've sold this story on the podcast before, stop me. I don't think I have. I compare it to like being high in a car. Okay, let's just pretend for the sake of argument that I was high in a car at some point in high school. So I'm high in a car in high school. Every car behind you, whether it's a motorcycle, a school bus, a spaceship, a rickshaw, it doesn't matter what it is, it all looks like a cop car. Everything looks like cop cars. Same concept. Kayaking in Florida in a river. Everything looks like an alligator.
I bet.
Everything. It could be a tree. It could be an old guy on a boat. And you're like, that's an alligator. Like you just feel like you could die at any moment.
I bet.
And that's what it's like. So that whole
Florida,
it's a cesspool. Did you see that guy dropped his phone in Florida?
No.
And then went in to get it because he was like, I got to get my phone. So he jumped off the bridge and he wrestled an alligator to get his phone back. It was a 4-foot alligator. The alligator bit his hands and legs and arms.
Crazy.
But he got his phone back. Now, how does the story end? He dropped it in the water. The phone doesn't work anyways.
Yeah, what a moron.
The water could have been filled with stuffed animals. It doesn't matter. Your phone's broken.
What a moron.
That's
Man.
good.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever do Disney World then.
It's tough. It's insane.
I've always said that like Las Vegas is the Disneyland, Disney World for adults. You've done Las Vegas?
I did Las Vegas one time, and there was a lot of craziness going on there.
Yes.
I got thrown out of Treasure Island.
Nice.
Because my friend went behind the counter, like into the kitchen area, and started firing people. And
sounds awesome.
Before I could say, hey, Maddie, that's a terrible idea, I was in some kind of a die chokehold.
And they're pulling you out.
Dragging, and I just kept thinking, because I watched Casino before we went, I was like, if we go to a basement, I'm going to just start to cry. And boom, like doors fly open, and it's just, I see Sky and Allie.
They threw you out.
Boom, you're out. And then bang, him on top of me. And that was, and the doors shut, and
wow,
and game over for that.
When July 3rd they did their huge that's when they do their fireworks, and they shoot them off at the top of every casino, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
The problem is that when they start shooting them off, everybody stops in one spot and watches it. So I forget what we were right by the Link, which is kind of like a new area where they have that big Ferris wheel, and people were still coming this way and people were still coming this way, and there's kind of like a space right here where you could watch, and everybody started cramming into that, and we got legitimately stuck where we couldn't go anywhere. I had a little 4'1" Ukrainian woman in front of me that I'm trying not to smash, you know, and like you can't control where people are and, like, you know, who you're pressing up against. But all I could do was put my hands on the shoulders of the guy that was in front of her and not smash this little woman.
So it's like you're slow dancing.
So, well, we pretty much did. She faced me the whole time we were watching these fireworks, and we're trying to get through. She speaks no English, but she's smiling and talking to me. And at one point, I was pretty much hugging her, trying to help her get out.
There
It was
has
good.
to be a better place to watch the fireworks than where you.
Well, the problem is like I said, you have thousands and thousands of people, and whenever they start going off, people just stop. And on top of that, you have escalators that are going down, feeding more people into the area. Like it was a nightmare. And I don't get claustrophobic, and I was starting to get claustrophobic. I can't imagine being like literally 4 feet where it's like, I don't know where I am. I can't see anything.
I can't see anything.
Yeah,
It's just
there's people in like
elbows and buttholes.
Yeah, exactly. There was a few people in the little you know, I can't walk motorized scooters.
That sounds less hectic than Disney World to me.
I believe it.
It really does. And then the whole Disney planning is it's gotten out of control, and it's
Yes.
super expensive. Like you could go to Hawaii for that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, we've done Barbados for like the whole trip for like $1,500
That's unreal.
for a week.
I'd like to do that. Not having kids has its privileges.
Yes, that's one of them. That's one of them. Thai camp isn't too cheap because you're flying to Portland, and that's an expensive ticket, and then you have Thai camp, and then
That's not really vacation.
hotel. No, it's not. That's work the whole time. But
That's how you learn how to do your buka rooms.
my what?
Buka-tunes. What are those?
Mockatoon?
Mockatoons. What do they call?
Mockatoon.
Mockatoon.
Yeah, no, Chai's taught those forever.
And what does Mockatoon stand for?
Pushing fist.
Okay.
Mott is fist. Gatoon is pushing.
Because tang means spear, and that's your knee.
Yeah.
And suck means elbow.
Yep.
I don't know if that's really what it means.
Yep. That's it.
So I've got how many Thai words do I have? Let's
You
see.
have 3 now. You want me to teach you another one?
Hold on. I've got Mockatoon. I've got tang.
Yeah.
I've got suck.
Yeah.
I've got Taj Malan.
Taj Milan. Yeah.
Taj Malan. It means flower behind your face.
Yeah. Or a woman puts the flower into her ear.
A woman puts flour in her ear, which is really funny. It's like woman puts flour into her ear, but I'm using it as a weapon.
Yes, and I'm going to punch you in the face with my elbow.
Right. Those are the ones I have.
Guess what your belly is called?
What?
The tong. T-O-N-G.
The tongue.
Tong.
Tongue. Oh, and dite.
Dite. Yeah.
Dite.
That means kidney.
Dite with a T, not a K.
D-T-A-E is kidney.
First class, you said that, and I was like, he said dite with a T, though, right? It's not a
Dite.
dite.
D-T-A. Dite.
Right in the tongue.
Dite. Yeah, right in the tongue. Dite right in the tongue.
A dite.
Or a tang right in the tongue.
And Taj Malan and right into the suck.
Yes.
Like I don't. We'll figure it out. When you go to Thai camp, do you have to know all the Thai words?
They have a huge test. Let me see if I can. I'm not gonna.
Are you going to show us the test?
I'm just gonna quickly.
Ask me some questions. Quiz me.
First off,
All right, here we go.
look at this score. I have to bring it over to me real quick. There we go.
100. You're
Ryan Gruen, 100.
You're the worst.
I didn't get that the first year. I failed it like 3 years in a row.
Now it's 100%.
But yeah, here are the terms. You know all those. Someone could probably pause it and then try to learn them all, which I would more props to them. But yeah, there you go.
Let me look here. Am I allowed to read any of these?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you go to Thai camp, like what I do with everyone who's going to
It's
Thai
not
camp.
multiple choice.
No.
You have to know the answers.
Yep.
F that.
Everyone that's going to Thai camp this year, I give them the test and they can study it and whatnot. And then if you fail the test, which I think it's like if you get 3 or 4 wrong or something crazy like that out of 100, you have to do a 2.5 mile run, 100 push-ups, 100 burpees, or something crazy like that.
Can I quiz you on some of these words?
No, you can't.
Okay.
I'm exhausted already.
Okay.
But I would have to look it over before I took the test again.
Right.
But every year I've said if one of my instructors or students or whatnot that I take fails the test, I do everything with them.
Oh, okay.
So I've done the run every year.
How do you say the ones with the D and then a T?
That's DTAE. That's date.
No, DTAA.
Da.
And then DTAAI.
Die.
Die. That's to die.
To die.
Jesus. Holy cow. Yeah, we'll just end on that one.
Yeah, to die.
Die. Well, it's there. I'm going to suck you right in the look, Kang. Sounds dirtier than it is. That means I'm going to elbow you in the chin.
In the chin. There you go.
There it is. I would fail that miserably. You'd be doing a lot of push-ups for me.
Yep. I've like I said, I've done it every year. I'm just kind of used to it.
I'm going to come up with a test for you that's all pro wrestling questions.
Oh, man. I would so fail that.
That'd be good.
Unless it's like WWF, WCW, then I might do pretty well.
Like the Monday Night War stuff?
Yeah,
I could specialize it.
There you go. I used to, I think it was the replays, but Sunday mornings. Sunday, I think it was like 11 a.m.
Saturday morning? They had Saturday morning fights.
Might have been Saturday.
And then there was like Sunday morning, the superstars and stuff. They would have like a recap.
That's probably what I watched the most.
And then Monday nights, that's when it really heated up, when there was Raw. And then WCW had Nitro. And then they would go head to head. That's right. That was when wrestling was at one. I think it's best.
Yeah. I remember. So here's when I started fading out, was when WCW came into fad and WWF was done.
Right. Okay.
So
you never saw the resurgence of WWE, WWF.
So was WWF and WWE the same thing?
It's the same thing. The only difference is the World Wildlife Federation won a lawsuit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so WWF is now WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment.
Gotcha.
And they just had to drop the F.
Man, wrestling.
We learn something new every day.
Do. Well, on that note, we got some fights that we're gonna watch. Are you able to watch them tomorrow?
I'm gonna be at it's all these amusement parks for me. I'll be at Idlewild Park, which is less stressful than Disney World.
I bet,
because you just go and then you go.
Yeah, and you just kind of.
It's like a real park.
Where you get to go wherever you want.
You can just go. I'm hoping to be home with the kids in time. If I do,
that would be awesome.
If I do, I didn't. Like, I know you guys go to Champs. I won't be like, I didn't tell you that I'll go, so I'll probably just sit at home and watch it.
Well, if you can come.
What if there's enough seats and then
Well, you can sit on my lap.
Well, I've had creepier offers.
We'll make it happen. Yeah, try to come if you can.
All right.
The fights start at 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be back way in time.
Totally come. It's going to be a blast. We get a huge table and we have some fun.
And then we can judge our picks.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll probably forget by that time who I said was
You
didn't
pick.
I know, but that's what I said. I think it's more impressive to be able to say how somebody's going to win than who's going to win. Because I'm still right. If Daniel Cormier wins by taking him down and just grinding it out and pushes him up against the fence and just doing that, then...
I won so much money betting against Randy Couture.
You won?
I won so much money because he got poked in the eye. I bet on him by accident when I was in Vegas.
No way.
And I bet him I thought I was betting for him, and then they gave me all this crap. And it was so much money. I was like, oh, God, I just blew so much money.
And you won.
And I ended up winning, and I went back, and I was so pumped.
That's awesome.
But it was Vegas, so I lost that money later anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't lose that much money this time, but we've come out ahead for the last 2 Vegas trips. This trip, not so much.
Not so much.
No.
It happens.
No, Brooke started playing blackjack. And I was like, well, what happens if you do this? I'm like, why don't you try this? And she does it. Lost everything.
Don't listen.
Gone. I'm like, well, there's our money.
And now we're done.
Yep. That was the last day. We played a lot of video, whatever it is, slots and whatnot. But well, cool. Yeah, I want to have this up by this evening.
Yeah, it's got to be up. If it's up after 200,
that wouldn't work too well.
Just throw it in the trash.
Yep.
All right.
So hopefully we won't do it.
Good night, podcast.
Yes. Good night.